Hello there and welcome to the Bicycle Diaries and welcome to week 22 of my Mallorca training plan. So this is going to be a little bit of an experiment with a new format. Up until now these Bicycle Diaries have been me introducing the ride, we've gone on the ride and then we've come back, I've talked about a few things and then gone on to say what my plans for the following week will be. In my eyes, that wasn't quite what I had in mind when I first started the Bicycle Diaries. So from now on, what I like to do is just talk a little bit about each ride that I do on a daily basis, although I won't be covering them quite as much as I did do in the previous format. Hopefully this new format's going to work, but if it doesn't, please let me know and we can always go back to the old system. That said, my first ride this week was yesterday when I went out on the Southwark route on my Cannondale. Now if you remember a couple of weeks ago I was having the wheel apocalypse where every single wheel I owned had a problem, and on the Cannondale I managed to bust a spoke. Now that got repaired, but I haven't really ridden the Cannondale since then, so yesterday was my first opportunity to try that out. And I have to say, riding the Cannondale again was absolutely fantastic. It always amazes me whenever I get on it. The position is absolutely amazing, it feels comfortable and it's an absolute pleasure to ride. And I think that the position on the Cannondale is even better than the position on the Trek. And then when I get on the Trek and ride that for a little bit, I feel exactly the same about the Trek, and then it just goes backwards and forwards between the two bikes. But anyway, yesterday I rode the Cannondale on the Southwark course and my plan wasn't to go out and do anything particularly hard or strenuous as I had a limited amount of time. And to my surprise, despite just sort of ticking over, I felt really good. And in fact, going up the climb of Beacon Hill, I was just spinning away and I looked down at my cadence and I was doing about 106, 107 revs per minute. And I felt like I could push it even a little bit more, so I was trying that and it just felt like I had limitless energy yesterday, so I felt really good. The only fly in the ointment yesterday was that because I haven't used the Cannondale for quite a while, the gears won't index properly, so I'm just going to do that very quickly now. So all I need to do is make sure that I'm in the small ring on the front and the small ring on the back as well. I'll just make one click on here. I can see that they need tightening up, so I'll just tighten up the barrel adjuster. Hopefully that'll start it. There we go, it's changed now. Hopefully that will all index properly now. There we go, looks like it's working. Faultlessly and back down the block. There we go, gears all indexed. I appear to be having a very minor issue with my Hammerhead Karoo cycling computer. Basically, when I put it onto the mount, I can see that it's a little bit loose and it particularly starts to wobble when I'm riding over some rough surfaces, and my concern is that it's going to fall out and then the Karoo itself is going to smash onto the ground into a million pieces. And obviously that's the last thing I want, because I absolutely love that cycling computer. It's just a fantastic piece of kit. Now I got on to Hammerhead customer support on Saturday and they seem to think that the problem was the foot mount on the back of the Karoo itself. So they said they would send me out the foot, which they did. That arrived a few minutes ago. So that was pretty good, going from just reporting the fault on Saturday to the solution arriving here today, which is Wednesday. Now the issue that I'm having with that is that when I try and remove the existing foot on the back of the Karoo, the Allen bolt holding it on is quite tight. Now I've tried a couple of Allen keys on there, and long story short, I've managed to burr all of the head out. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult to remove. Now I've been on to the Hammerhead Facebook user, or the Hammerhead users group on Facebook, and a couple of people on there have suggested a few things. So one of them was an elastic band hack. I tried that didn't work. And Hammerhead themselves have suggested that I superglue the Allen key to the existing bolt and try and do it that way. So I'm a little reluctant to do that at the moment. I may just have to break it off and just undo it with a pair of pliers or something. So yeah, hopefully I can replace this foot on the back of the Karoo and it will be nice and sturdy in the mount. Just returned from my second ride of the week, where I rode up Mercury, through the Meons and then up old Winchester Hill. It's only 36 kilometres, but there was a considerable amount of climbing involved. Firstly, the climb up Mercury was quite tough. It's got little sections at about 17%. And then old Winchester Hill itself is about 4 kilometres long with an average gradient of about 5%. So both very, very tough little climbs. And it doesn't end there. The wind was pretty bad as well. But all in all, it was a pretty good ride. My rationale was to go out today and do a few more hills. Up until now, the rides I've been doing have been relatively flat, more or less. So with Mercury and old Winchester Hill combined, that's about 400 metres of climbing and a fairly good workout. With the weather the way it is at the moment, so rather less than ideal, I can feel that I'm not overly enthusiastic about riding in the rain. So this is leading me to a little bit of a dilemma, because at the moment I think I'm reasonably fit, but obviously I will need to go out and do some regular rides if I want to maintain that fitness. Now it's raised the question in my head, just exactly how fit is fit? So back in the day when I was racing, I thought I was very fit when I was able to ride a 10-mile time trial in about 25 minutes. And if we look at me today, I think I'm reasonably fit because I'm able to ride 70 kilometers in 2 hours and 45 minutes or so. Now clearly there is a difference, but yet I still think I'm reasonably fit now. So this is, I suppose, where the Strava fitness score comes in. You kind of have to think to yourself, how far up that scale do you want to be to call yourself fit, and how often do you have to ride to be able to keep that number the same? Not necessarily increase it, but you want to be able to not let that number go down any more than where it is at the moment. A couple of interesting things that I have noticed from the fitness score is that the number starts to decrease almost immediately. So if you go out on one day, it will assign you a fitness score, but if you don't go out the next day, that score will have dropped. I've also noticed that the higher the score, the quicker the number falls. For me, the two obvious questions about the fitness score are, what exactly do those numbers refer to, and how accurate are they? My take on it is that the numbers are somewhat arbitrary. Basically, the higher the number, the fitter you are, and that's fairly simple and straightforward to understand. As for the accuracy, I suppose it can only be as accurate as the data that you're giving Strava. So essentially what's coming in off the heart rate sensor. And it's also very interesting to know that the times when I've ridden without a heart rate sensor, or the sensor hasn't worked, Strava's fitness hasn't been able to provide me with a score. Now, I don't believe for one moment that those numbers will stand up to too much scientific scrutiny, but if you want just a general indicator of your fitness, I don't think they're too bad. I've just discovered Alexa can do this. Alexa, tell me a cycling joke.
What's the difference between a well-dressed cyclist and a scruffy guy on a tricycle? Attire.
I was really umming and ahhing about going out for a ride today, and that was mainly due to the weather. Basically, it was rather cold and overcast at about 15 degrees Celsius. And then I had a text from my cycling chum Brian asking me if I wanted to join him for a ride, so that was kind of the kick that I needed. So we ended up going out and doing 27 kilometres on the Southwark course. Luckily for us, the rain did hold off. I did feel a couple of rain spots, but we did manage to complete the ride in the dry. On the way round, we got to the climb of Bunkers Hill, and as I approached it, I could see the Strava Live segment kick in on my Garmin, and I looked like I was going to do another PR, so I pushed it a bit hard, and lo and behold, I did indeed get another PR, beating the one that I set a couple of weeks ago by a massive 15 seconds or so. Join me on my final ride of the week. We've just passed through the village of Southwark and we're on our way round to do the rather lumpy course that takes in Beacon Hill and Old Winchester Hill. All in all, it's going to be about 53 kilometres, and my rationale today is just to get some more climbing in. I'm not going to do anything majorly hard, trying to just keep my cadence to about 90, heart rate between 70 and 80% of my maximum, yeah, and just tick round. As you can see, the weather has improved slightly. We've got sunny spells at about 18 degrees Celsius, but we have had some overnight rain, so here and there we have some patches of standing water, which doesn't make the cycling all that much fun. Plus the wind today is absolutely brutal, so I don't know how this is all going to sound, but hopefully there's an improvement, thanks to Jason Shepherd, who suggested that I try out one of these foam windshields for this GoPro here. So yeah, go check out Jason's channel, Jason Dorset Mammal. Thanks, Jason. That's today's first really big climb done. Just descend wheelie down, and then we've got the second climb of the day, Old Winchester Hill, for the second time this week. Now that I'm home, showered and relaxed, my weekly totals are: I've ridden 142 kilometres, I've got 6 hours and 13 minutes of seat time, and I've climbed 1,445 metres. So that brings the yearly totals to 2,687 kilometres ridden, 117 hours and 30 minutes of seat time, and I've climbed 16,176 metres. And if we go over to Strava and have a look at the fitness scores, you can see that on Tuesday it was 55, Wednesday it was 57, Friday it was 56, and today it was 57 again. All in all, not a bad week on the bike. Part of my thinking today was to go out and do a slightly longer ride, as my kilometres for the week were down a little, so that's why I went out and did the 57 kilometres on this route today. And I must admit, it was fairly hard, and by the time I got home I was pretty tired and ready for a nice cup of tea. Someone who puts all of my rides into perspective is Nathan Woodruff over there in Norcross, Georgia. Nathan's a very good friend of the channel here, and he's been doing a ride every single day for about 2.5 years now. And that doesn't matter what the weather is, it's rain, shine, heat. Nathan is on his bike and he's riding, and very soon he will be doing his 800th day in a row, and I think that's an absolutely amazing achievement. So congratulations, Nathan. The weather forecast for next week is looking pretty nice. We've got some very sunny days coming up with some really high temperatures, and that's just the sort of weather that I like riding in. So my plan at the moment is to do some longer rides and hopefully do another 200 kilometre week. Now, the ride that I did today was only 53 kilometres, but it did show me that my endurance is starting to go down a bit, so I really do need to do something to start building that up again. So there we go, that's this week on the bike. Hopefully you like the new format. If not, please let me know and we can see about going back to the old system. Thanks for watching.